Hi there people, welcome back to Spray Love, and I'm gonna do another video about a trade I did in which I acquired three new fragrances yet again. I'm standing up today. I hope to do a few videos like that perhaps. I don't know, once in a while. It's fun to change things around. So I'm gonna present them to you one by one. It's a first impression, but it's not really a first impression because I've tried all those fragrances beforehand, and so I was quite confident about what I was getting. So it's not exactly a first impression like the last one. Now it's a bit more like I knew those fragrances. So without further ado, let's get into it. There's this one. I bet that a lot of you know that one. It's Au Sauvage by Christian Dior. Not Sauvage, which is kind of uh, like it's kind of like a predecessor to Sauvage, like a spiritual predecessor. It was probably one of the most popular fragrances when it came out in 1966 until the 80s, probably. It's like I think it's one of the biggest hit in the 70s. So you might say, okay, well, this must smell a bit dated or a bit old. It doesn't. In fact, it's one of the first fragrances to include the use of Edion a lot. So it's a very Edion prominent fragrance with the jasmine note and the citruses. It's heavy on the citruses, very heavy on the citruses. It's kind of a very fresh fragrance with a lot of nice nuances, flower touches, everything. Makes people happy. It's a very happy fragrance. It's my grandmother's favorite fragrance of all time. She told me so. Yeah, my grandmother's favorite. You must also say it's pretty dated, but it's actually not. There's a reason why they keep doing it today, and it's not just nostalgic, uh, for the nostalgia factor. I think it's a lot more like relevant today than fragrances like Noir. Um, it's got like a very like sexy and classy vibe. It's a perfect office fragrance. I hate to use that term, but it's a perfect fragrance for any situation. It's very, very good. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've worn it since I got the bottle, I've worn it a few times, and it's an amazing fragrance for me. Yeah, citrus, Edion heavy. You know what you're in for. Edion is something that makes you happy, whatever. It makes people around you happy most of the time. So that's probably pretty much it for that fragrance. Afterwards, I'm gonna introduce this one, Prada Candy. I'm probably gonna do a full review on that. This one I gave as a gift to my wife. She has tried it, used her sample of it. I think she fell in love at first sniff with that fragrance. It's a classic, girls' night out type fragrance. Very, very sweet, but not too much. Not like I think it's not as heavy and cloying as other fragrances of that type. It still retains like a fresh background to it. Very, very sexy, very, very alluring fragrance. Yeah, it's perfect for the night outs. Uh, Going to clubs, bars, etc. But my wife just likes it all the time. She really, really loves that fragrance. She thinks it smells superb and like almost, I think almost edible. And it's called Prada Candy. It's sweet. It's kind of edible. Yeah, I'm sure like it's a hit. Like it's very, very sexy. I think it reminds me a bit of Pink Sugar, but not as glowing, not as intense. Just a bit more fresh. Um, so yeah, that's a new one for my wife, and I hope she uses it well. Um, and there's tons of my fragrances which it complements, and so I think we will do again a really good duo on some nice dates and other occasions because we're always together. Next one up is the very famous Bleu Noir. Bleu Noir by Narciso Rodriguez. So you can see that it's a bit damaged, but I don't care. It's the juice I want. So, and this one, very interesting. I didn't have any fragrances that were like that in my collection, which is why I was so hyped uh, to get that one. So, what is it? What are you in for? When you look at the just the name, Bleu Noir for him. All right. So you could think, oh, maybe it's a blue fragrance, bleu, so blue, and it's a bit darker, so maybe a bit more base heavy on the ambroxan and stuff. But actually, this is not a typical blue fragrance. I get the name. It feels like a rainy day, but mysterious. Neo noir stuff. Maybe uh, dress up well, etc. It's heavy on the vetiver, and this is why I was so hyped about getting it, is because I don't have many fragrances that have a prominent vetiver note. So I got that one, and it's very very classy. It has that rainy day feel, like that black and white kind of rainy day feel. It's very nice, and it has a sweetness. It has a coziness to it. I think it is perfect for the fall. And probably also perfect for winter. It has a bit of that cleanliness, but also that sweetness and that like warmth to it. I think it's an amazing release, and this is the EDT. I know that some people they say don't go for the EDT, go for the eau de parfum or the parfum. I think they released two. Um, I've smelled them. I smelled all of them. It's been years, since I followed this line because I was not willing to pay for retail for that, and then now I've just traded off. So, and my favorite was actually the EDT because it's a lot less intense, but it has that super nice, a bit more versatile feel to it that I find very appealing. Um, but the vetiver is still there. If you're a fan of vetiver fragrances, Encre Noire, Guerlain vetiver, Grey vetiver by it's a bit like Grey vetiver by Tom Ford, but it's not done in the same way. It's a bit different. It's got a bit more sweetness. Some people compare it to Terre d'Hermès. It has that grown up, very mature vibe. It has uh, that sophisticated vibe to it, but it's still a pretty unique fragrance. And I think that you're not doing anything wrong by getting into the eau de parfum or the parfum concentration on that one. They're all they all have the same DNA as I can recall. It's all the same DNA. It's really just a matter of preference whether you're liking more the denser, thicker vibe that the eau de parfum and parfum gives. But this one is my favorite of the bunch, and it's my favorite from Narciso Rodriguez. So pretty hyped to have that. I've been giving it like two wearings, I think, since I got it, and this stuff is amazing. It's intoxicating, and I can't stop smelling myself when I'm wearing it. So that's a good thing, and it's also very unique in my collection. There's nothing that actually resembles a bit the vibe that this one has. So I'm pretty hyped and I'm finding it pretty fantastic. So anyway, if you like those fragrance, you're good. If you don't, you're good too. Just keep on wearing your fragrances that you like, and spread love and spray love.